Do you think that is the number one reason why sales stalls? Is not understanding the EI behind what it really takes to get the deal done?
Well, of course, I'm going to come from that perspective. So let's do
Right.
that disclaimer. Here's what I've seen. When deals start stalling, human nature is I'm going to push harder, right? So I'm going to talk more. I'm going to sell more. I'm going to remind that prospect or customer, if it's, you're upselling an existing customer, I'm going to remind them of all the benefits. It literally flies in the face of how human beings like to interact and be influenced. And so when you're pushing too hard, it will kick off that part of the brain, the amygdala, which triggers off a fight or flight response. And in some personalities, the harder you push, regardless if you have the right solution, they're going to push back because no one likes not having control and choice. So, yes, I do think not being able to read the room, read the opportunity, manage your own emotions to recognize, ooh, I'm starting to move into pushing mode rather than understanding what's going on here mode.
People don't like to feel as though they've been sold to. And there's so much
Yeah.
regret when you do feel that way. And I think that is, it doesn't matter what we're selling. At the end of the day, it's all about creating that relationship with that buyer to make
Hmm.
them feel important and as though, they're a perfect fit for what it might be that you are selling. Um, we talked about the fact that we're seeing a rise in deals that just stop.
Hmm.
There's no communication. People are going dark. There's follow up, but nothing is happening. What is driving that behavior?
Well, overall, I think you have to look at the macro economy. And so a lot of times what we do is if we're in sales and marketing, we can get into our bubbles, but we don't realize, and I think, smart marketers like yourself do, but there has been a decrease in trust in institutions.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter what the institution is, journalism, lawyering, doctors, it has decreased, Lori, as much as from 74% to 20% since
Wow.
1964.
Yeah.
So if you take a look, people just aren't trusting what they're reading or they're hearing. And so some of that is because the institutions have fallen short. And some of it, you've got to take a look at artificial intelligence. I think subconsciously people are asking themselves, what's really real? I
Right.
mean, am I reading something real or was it written by a real person? Am I talking to somebody real? And you're not. You're talking to a bot that sounds pretty good. So I think there's a lot going on there. The tariffs, depending on the industry you're in, it's
Yeah.
stalling deals.
Well,
And yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
and I think a lot of that has to do with fear, right? Is it fear? I
Yes.
mean, the excuse most people use is we've got budget constraints. We're not going to be able to, do the deal this year, or we're not going to be able to do it because you're just, more expensive than the next tier down. They use it as an excuse to stop the sales program,
Hmm.
or they're just afraid. I'm like, what is going to happen next? Should I invest in this or not?
Yes. Here's, I'm going to go back to the price. So there have been teams that, have had to raise the price due to a variety of reasons, tariffs being one. And so what they're not doing a great job of is explaining the price increase,
The
which
value,
decreases trust.
right?
And so they're saying things like, well, everyone's having to do it. Now, at that point, a customer's brain, a prospect's brain, really illogically says, I don't care. I only care about myself. And so sometimes it's the way a price increase is being communicated that stalls the deal because they're sitting there going, I don't trust this. Even
Right.
though they logically know the price increase is validated, and it's probably just a pass through.
Right. And I think what is a hard signal for sales and marketing teams to see in that situation is it a trust issue or is it just not a good fit for the
Hmm.
client?
And that is where marketing comes in because
Right.
I will tell you, everyone, if you've gone through any type of sales training, marketing training, you've heard of the ideal client profile. Now, here's what I think happens on the sales side of the business. We look at the guardrails and you've got, demographics, psychographics, firmographics, all of those things. But what salespeople do, because they're optimistic, a wonderful EQ skill, by the way, they start rationalizing. So when an opportunity doesn't fit within the ideal client profile bucket, they'll sit there and say something like, well, 20 years ago, I actually closed a piece of business that didn't fit this profile. And
Yeah.
so I believe marketing's responsibility, both from a communication with the sales leader, is having them understand, listen, you can't sell and close business with somebody that just doesn't match your ideal client profile. You might get a one-off once in a while, but you can't grow a company with trying to sell to one-offs.